Hello, and welcome to the first episode of the First Love Project. I'm Jori Schaefer. I'm podcast host. I'm also the host of a Word for This Day podcast. This is a much shorter daily devotional podcast where, with God's help, we're going to look each day of the week at a different section of Scripture and see how God began to show His grace and His love throughout the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation. And so I welcome you to this. If you are listeners from my other podcasts, thank you for stopping in. Still am doing a Word for This Day. If you're new, check that out. You can look for a Word for This Day podcast in anywhere that you listen to podcasts. This one is different. This is a video podcast. My other one is pretty much all audio for now. The other one is now in its fifth season, and this is the first episode today. So welcome, friend, if this is your first time here. What my plan is on Mondays, we are going to look at the Old Testament law. I want you to be able to see through these devotions that God's grace and His love and His mercy and character is revealed to us from Genesis to Revelation. And it is one wonderful story of grace. And so right now we are going to look for our very first episode at Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. And so the reflection for today is from this verse, and I'm reading from the ESV. It says, "So God created man in His own image. In the image of God, He created him. Male and female, He created them." Friends, when I think about the goodness and the grace of God, He didn't have to make us. He knew what was going to happen. He knew that we were going to sin, and He loved us anyway. He knew that we were different than the rest of the creation. You can read Genesis chapter 1, and I would encourage you to do that. But the fact that He knew how we would be, and yet He loved us anyway. He made the creation to give Him the glory. It's evidence of His glory. But He wanted a relationship with us. Even though we are not perfect, even though we are sinners, even though we fail regularly, even though He knew exactly what we would do, He still created us, and He created us in His image with some of His characteristics. Now, there are some world religions that will tell you that, oh, we are all God and we can have all these gods. No, those are lies. The only truth is in the Word. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He's the Word that was made flesh to dwell among us. But God loved us so to create us like Him in His image. And then, even after we had sinned, while we were yet still sinners, even though all the way back there in the Old Testament, before Jesus had come and walked on this earth, He went ahead and made a way that we could be back in relationship with Him. But before that, we get to see a glimpse here before the fall happens in chapter 3 of Genesis. We get to see that God wanted relationship. He made us in His image, and then He walked and talked with Adam and Eve. And friends, that is a blessing. And He wants us to come back to Him. He wants us to be reconciled to Him. And that happens when we believe in Jesus and we follow Jesus. So think about that today. You are not here by accident. Before you were formed, He knew you. He saw your unformed substance before He put it together, before He knit you together in His womb or in your mother's womb, and He created you in His image. Now, that's not to make us to be arrogant, but that is to cause us to walk in humility and wonder and awe. And may we give Him the praise and the glory today for that. Think about that as you go through your day today, friend. And as you consider ways to return to Him, return to your first love because He loves you so much. Have a great day in the Lord today. Blessings to you, friends.